Well, good afternoon, good evening, good day, depending on which part of the world you're in, and welcome to yeah, I'll say this evening because both myself and the individual who I'm going to introduce momentarily are both located in Toronto, Canada, and it's currently 10 o'clock on the east coast of North America. And I'm pleased to say we have people in attendance from the west coast of North America and people from Australasia, where it's already tomorrow. So I think I see, well, I don't think I do see people still coming online. So I think we'll give it another moment or two before we actually start. For those individuals, I'll just briefly run through a few housekeeping items for those individuals who may not have seen the rotating slides at the beginning, just so that everyone is aware. All attendee microphones have been muted. So we know everyone's time is precious, and phones ring, and other interruptions happen. So not to worry, you won't be disturbing the webinar, and that's why we mute microphones. So the presentation this evening will be about 30 minutes in length, and there'll be a question and answer period after that. In order to ask questions, you should see along the right-hand side of your screen the GoToWebinar user interface, and there should be a question pane where you can actually type questions in. Feel free to type questions as we progress through the webinar, and we will take questions and hopefully be able to provide some good answers along with taking those questions at the end of the presentation. So let me, at this point, because it is a couple of minutes after 10, and it looks like we have a good group on hand for this evening. So let me first of all begin by introducing myself. My name is Franklin Smith, and I am Executive Director of Isaac International. And I'm pleased to have with me here this evening Shelley Deegan, former chair of the Isaac Council and one of the conference co-chairs for Conference 2016. Welcome, Shelley.
Good evening. Hello, everyone.
So, Shelley, as I mentioned, we have a good group tonight. So if you're okay, I think I'm just going to launch into it. And by all means, I'm going to try and speak slowly and provide opportunities, Shelley, for you to jump in as well if you feel something that I said needs to be highlighted a little bit more or a little differently. So just feel free to jump in.
Okay.
Great. So just some of the key dates. And hopefully everyone out there, and that includes you as well, Shelley, you're seeing a screen now that provides some of the key dates related to the call for papers and Conference 2016. The actual call for papers itself opens up for submissions on June 1st, 2015 at 1800 Greenwich Mean Time. Currently, Toronto is, because of daylight savings time, is 4 hours earlier. But I would certainly recommend to everyone to, if you're uncertain as to what the offset is for your own location, there's a great website out there called timeanddate.com. And it provides useful time zone calculators to determine what your local time is at any other spot in the world. So 1800 GMT, that's when the call for papers opens on June 1st. The call for papers is scheduled to close at 1800 GMT on October 16th, 2015. So that gives a nice period of time for people to get their submissions ready and get them uploaded into the system. Applicants will be notified of acceptance by February 19th, 2016, and the formats and schedules of accepted papers will be communicated to successful presenters by April 18th, 2016. And here at Isaac International, we, for those of you who were part of the 2014 conference, you'll certainly recognize that we are doing our utmost to do our bit to save the planet and minimize the amount of paper that we use. So that's why our submission system and our communication, pretty much without exception, will be electronic in nature. And I see a couple of people have already asked questions about the slides tonight. The slides, you don't need to scribble notes furiously or not furiously, as the case may be. A PDF of these slides will be available on the Isaac website, and everyone who registered for either this webinar or the one we did yesterday will be receiving an automated email probably tomorrow, giving them the link where those slides will be maintained. And of course, we're recording a video of tonight's webinar, and that will also be posted. So a couple of useful resources. So just jumping ahead. This is where all of the resources are going to be available on the Isaac International website. As you'll see in a moment, when we actually go there, there is a lot of explanations and a lot of materials, a lot of good resource materials that I think will be able to answer 90 to 95% of the questions that you may have. But of course, you know, we're pretty intuitive, but we're not soothsayers. So there's probably some questions out there that we haven't thought of or considered. So by all means, if you do have a question, there's the email address that questions can be sent to, and we will certainly endeavor to respond as quickly as possible. So in terms of some of the key elements, and we're going to be going through this in more detail as we actually jump into showing you how to submit your proposal online. But some of the key elements that are going to need to be identified in each proposal relate to the target age group of your proposal, the target audience, the paper stream or streams that you're selecting, the content focus area or areas for your papers, the key phrase or key phrases, and a new twist, a new item compared to what was done for 2014, key learning objectives, and as well we would ask authors to identify their paper presentation preferences. And you'll note that the word preference is bolded and underlined. We will make every effort to provide authors with the presentation format that they have requested, but Isaac cannot guarantee that in each and every case that will be we will be able to do that. It depends on a lot of different variables, not the least of which are the reviews that come back on each proposal, as well as scheduling requirements. So that's why those are preferences. And as I said, Isaac will make every effort to try and get as close to authors' preferences as is possible. There's also some other important items that will need to be included in each proposal. And of course, author names, author contact information, in particular email addresses, and this goes back to what I mentioned earlier about electronic communication. And of course, also something new for the 2016 conference is the designation of presenting authors, or presenting author. So you'll be able to identify in your submission which author or authors are actually planning on being in attendance to present the paper should it be accepted. There will need to be a short abstract, and that's simply going to be a copy and paste of text into the online submission window. There will need to be a long or extended abstract, which will be a PDF file upload. And as part of that long or extended abstract, we are also asking submitting authors to include completed ASHA disclosure forms as part of those abstracts. Now, ASHA is an organization that many North American professionals belong to and receive continuing education unit credits for professional development courses that they take. Given that this is a conference in Toronto, we of course do want to be able to provide those ASHA CEUs or continuing education units to as many people as possible. So even if you as an author may not feel that ASHA CEUs are relevant to you, they do have an impact on the number of people who will be attending your presentation. So we would strongly urge everyone to, it's a pretty simple form. They're up on the website. We'll show you how to, as part of this presentation, we'll show you how to deal with them, but we would strongly recommend that you complete the disclosure forms as needed and include them as part of your PDF file upload. We are also recommending, in order to create your single PDF, of course, many people do have access to the full version of Adobe Acrobat, which allows you full flexibility to create PDFs, merge individual PDFs into a single PDF document, etc. If you don't have access to the full version of Adobe, don't worry. There are a number of freeware applications available that come with no cost. There's no special licensing required. They're freely available. We've listed them here on the bottom of this slide, and they are also currently available as a document on the Isaac website as well. So you can use one of those applications to create your single PDF and merge the ASHA forms in. But we'll go into that in a couple of minutes. So without Shelley, I don't know, this is probably a good point to take a brief break and just see if you have anything to add before we actually launch into the next phase.
No, I don't think so. I didn't see the previous, I don't think I'm seeing questions. Was there any other questions that have come up?
Other than the access to the slides, those have been the only questions that have come up so far.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so let me then click this button, and hopefully, if my computer is working properly, and it looks like it is. All right, there we go. So everyone should see now the Isaac website, and hopefully everyone does see that. Okay, great, good, thank you. Yes, a couple of people have noted that they do see it. So fabulous, thank you. So this is the main point of entry for, well, this is the call for paper section on the Isaac Conference 2016 website. And as I mentioned earlier, a couple of minutes earlier, there is a lot of information presently located on the website. I'm going to ignore this big blue button that's just asking me to click it for a moment. I know everyone's on the edge of their seats there waiting for me to click the button, but just bear with me for a minute. So here's some basic information on the call for papers. Whoops. Sorry, one second. And here's specific proposal submission information. So everything beginning with to submit a proposal. This provides step-by-step explanations as to the type of information that is being requested. So this is an extremely good resource to refer back to. I'm going to highlight this line right here. In order to use the online paper submission system, this is one of those small pieces of technology that is absolutely essential to be there, otherwise the software won't work properly at your end. And that is whichever web browser you're using. I happen to be using Firefox right now, but the system should work just as well with Internet Explorer, should work just as well with Google Chrome, but it does need to have Java installed and functioning in order to properly use the system. So please make sure of that. Again, if you run into any issues, by all means, you can send an email to conference2016@isaac-online.org. So I'm not going to go through a lot of this in detail. I think I'll handle it as we go through the submission form. But you can see here there's a lot of explanations as to the types of information and some different maximum words allowable for short abstract and long abstract criteria. So this is a great resource to look at. And of course, because the conference is being held in Toronto, Canada, Canada has 2 official languages, English and French. And so we are accepting presentations in French, and you can see here we have all of this information translated and available en français for anyone in Quebec or France or any of the French-speaking countries around the world. So please also bear that in mind. All right. So one other thing that I just wanted to mention, and you can see here there's 2 sublinks on this web page. This second one, ASHA disclosure forms. I'm just going to click on that, and the ASHA disclosure forms are there. I will click on that a little bit later and show you what they look like. It's pretty straightforward. And of course, the freeware PDF creator applications that I noted earlier are also there available. All right, so let me go back to the main call for papers page and let me launch the system. And when you click that big blue button, this is what you're going to see. And hopefully everyone out there does see a blue and white window with our wonderful ISAC 2016 Toronto logo on it. And this is the point of entry into the online call for papers system. This is what everyone's going to see when you click that blue button. Currently, the system is in test mode. So prior to June 1st at 1800, of course, we've been testing the system and we wanted to have it up and running for these webinars. But any papers that are submitted prior to 1800, if the system is open on June 1st, will be deleted from the system. So just keep that in mind. Right now, it's just in test mode. So when you do reach this screen and you do want to make a submission, the first place to click is that hyperlink text that says make submission. Pretty straightforward. And when you do click that link, this is what you're going to see. So here's that disclaimer about the system being in test mode. And so now we can start filling in information. So I'm going to enter a title, and as you can see here, we're allowing a maximum of 15 words on titles, and I'm going to pretend to be someone else, And you can see I've been doing this a few times. I could just be typing it in, but for the sake of getting through this a little bit more efficiently. So you can just see these are just straightforward text entries. I'm going to put my name in there instead. Be a little bit more realistic. All right, so we have a drop-down menu here for country, and as you can see, there's a whole list of countries here. For anyone who happens to see some country names that may look a little bit odd to you, may not be what you expected, please bear in mind that we do use the most current ISO, which stands for the International Standards Organization, the most current agreed and accepted international standards for country naming conventions. ISAC is an international organization and is an organization that has NGO status with the United Nations. So that is the standard that we need to use, and that's the standard that's built into this list of countries. So an email address in there and a telephone number in there, and I'm going to make myself a presenter. And let's put a second. Don't mind me, Shelley. I hope you don't mind me using your name here.
Not at all.
We'll put another author in here. And you know what? The nice thing about computers is that they allow you to copy and paste. And of course, clearly, an author doesn't need to have the same address. They can have a very different address. And Shelley, I know you like to travel when you get the chance. So where would you like to visit, Shelley?
Oh, how about Iceland?
Iceland. There's a great choice. No volcanoes currently active in Iceland, so that's a great choice. And let's make up an email address for you here, Shelley. And we'll give you the same different telephone number. And Shelley, you're going to be a presenter too. So there we go. We've got our two authors, and the system, let's say there's no other author, or let's say there's 15 different authors. You can keep adding authors here beyond author 3 by clicking on that link. And as you can see, it opens up and allows you to add pretty much any number of authors that you need to add into the system. So that's quite flexible. The system allows you to designate who the primary contact author is. So Shelley, I'm going to make you the primary contact, and you can put in alternate contact information if you so choose, and there's an explanation there as to the type of information. I'm not going to enter anything right now. So here's now where we get into helping us help you identify what your paper is about, how the paper should be best streamed to provide for the best scheduling experience for everyone who's going to be at the conference. And we're going to start off with the target age group and audience. We are asking paper submitters to identify whether the target age group for their presentation is preschool, school age, adults, or no specific age category. You can select one or more, and you can see I've selected all of them. If you specify, or if you select no specific age category, you can see the system automatically wipes out the other choices. So you can specify that or any of the others. Okay, so that's, I think, pretty straightforward. And as well, the target audience, we're asking people to identify whether they feel their presentation is meant for an audience that has a introductory or more general knowledge level, or one that is geared more to an audience with a more intermediate or advanced knowledge level. So I'm going to
And,
select that.
and
Sorry.
that's something new this time around based on a lot of feedback that we received after the last conference. So hopefully that people find that helpful.
Thank you. Absolutely, Shelley. Yes. Thank you for jumping in on that. Um, the streams. So again, this is pretty much a carryover from Conference 2014. We have 3 streams identified, and of course, you can select one or more of those streams for your specific paper, and I'm going to leave it at that.
I'm just going to add one other comment there that if you really feel it's important to identify more than one stream, that's okay. But some of these categories are helping the scheduling of papers, and so it does. They are used in lots of different ways. So not to check things just to think that it'll be better if it covers more areas. That's not the case. So really, people should try to be pretty specific in choosing these categories.
Thank you, Shelley, and that's a really good thing to keep in mind. As people out there, I'm sure probably realize when these papers get reviewed, they are being reviewed not once, but every single paper is going to be reviewed at least twice, and there are going to be some papers that get more than 2 reviews. So you can well imagine at Conference 2014 in Lisbon, we had approximately 500 papers, so that's a minimum of 1,000 reviews. We're expecting higher numbers for Toronto, just by virtue of the location. So anything that you can do as a group of authors or as a paper submitter to help out the job of the reviewers and help out the job of the schedulers is certainly greatly appreciated. So moving on to content focus areas, again, we're asking you to self-identify your presentation as fitting into one or more of these specific content focus areas. And these are important because content focus areas and key phrases are the next section are linked together. So, and again, just building on Shelley's comment of a moment ago, being as specific as possible. So let's say you felt the content focus area for this particular presentation was building activity and participation through AAC. So you would check off content focus area B. Now, if you quickly glance down at the key phrases area, you can see that everything there is disabled. I'm not able to select anything. So when I click B, building activity and participation through AAC, you can now see that key phrases B1 through B7 are now enabled, and I can now select them. So I can select them one at a time, or I can use the control key, holding down the control key and clicking the left mouse button. I can click multiple items. So this is how, again, you would use the system to make your selections on content focus areas and key phrases. And again, it's very important information for those who are going to be reviewing and scheduling the conference. Shelley, anything else that you want to add?
Nope, that's good.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you. I'm glad I'm keeping my end of the bargain tonight, Shelley. All right, so we're nearly there. Whoops, sorry. So that then takes us to key learning objectives. And this, again, is a new section that's been added. And it's been added for a few reasons. One of the reasons that I'm going to focus in on has to do with the ASHA CEUs, and one of the requirements from ASHA's perspective is they want to be able to identify in advance of someone sitting in a presentation what the key learning objectives for that session are going to be. So that's one reason why they're up there. There's also, Shelley, I'll let you jump in. There are, I know, scheduling and review reasons why this is up there as well.
Yeah, I think it's just, again, giving us a little bit more information. And it's also, something that should be included a little bit in your abstract anyway, so that the person who then wants to attend the session is going to get some idea of what they'll come away with after the presentation.
Fabulous. Thank you, Shelley. So I'm going to, let's see, I am going to select, here we go. That's going to be the key learning objective for this presentation. I'm going to keep it simple and only going to go with one, but of course, one or more can be selected as appropriate. So as we move down, again, we're nearly there. Presentation format. And again, I want to highlight this comment. This is where you can provide us with your presentation format preference. But as you can see here, the program committee is not guaranteeing that proposals will receive the presentation format selected by the author or authors for the reasons that I gave earlier. So let's say this is a 30-minute presentation, but I could have just as easily selected a 60-minute presentation or a 2-hour presentation or a poster. So there we go. All right, content. The abstract, you'll see a text box here, which you can expand and shrink to make it comfortable for you for typing in. And this is where the short abstract gets typed in. And you can see here we've identified as a maximum 250 words. So I'm just going to type some good old-fashioned gibberish in here. A few carriage returns, and you can see it's pretty easy. So again, a short abstract. Probably as you're getting your presentation proposal ready, you'll already have written a short abstract in your Word document. You can literally just copy that out of your Word document and paste it into this window. You don't need to rekey anything. I'm just keying just for the sake of brevity. But by all means, feel free to copy and paste. And this window here below is where you actually upload the PDF of your long or extended abstract. So the PDF document needs to be on your local computer, the computer that you're using to submit, to make your proposal submission online. So literally you just click the browse button, your computer should respond, and I'm just going to link something in here. And as you can see, there is a file size limit of 50 megabytes. But in PDF format, it's going to take a lot to reach 50 megabytes. So I don't think there's any danger of anyone exceeding that limit. But if you run into any issues, again, by all means, feel free to send us an email. And just bear in mind, as the note says, we are asking for the long or extended abstract to also include your completed ASHA disclosure forms. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll just go back to that in a couple of minutes and just show you how you can pull those forms off and include them. The system is going to ask you to enter a password for your submission, and that is done so that you can go into the system after the fact if you realize that, oh, I'm sorry, I copied and pasted the wrong short abstract in, or I uploaded the incorrect long or extended abstract. You will be able to, knowing your submission ID number, your email address, and your password, you'll be able to get back into the system at a later date and upload a new file or make whatever changes you want to make to your submission. So I'm just going to type a password in here, and you're going to need to re-enter the password to make sure you've typed it in correctly. And last but not least, the comment field. This is a free-form text field that allows you to provide us, the reviewers, the scheduling committee, the Conference 2016 committee, with any additional requirements that you may have, be it related to audiovisual or accessibility needs or anything that we may not have thought about. So it's free-form text. Feel free to just type in anything that you need to. All right, so hopefully, if I've done everything correctly, Shelley, my fingers are crossed, you click the Make Submission button, and the system says processing, and voila. The system, if you've done everything successfully, the system will respond with a congratulations, thank you. We'll issue you a submission ID number, and we'll essentially provide you with all of the details that you just entered. So you will know that you have actually been successful in submitting your presentation, and it tells you that a file has been uploaded. So that's really all there is to it. I am going to close this window right now, and I'm just cognizant of the time. It's coming up to 10:40. So Shelley, just before I go and just spend a moment or two on the ASHA disclosure forms, is there anything that you feel should be highlighted that I may not have highlighted sufficiently up until now?
No, is there just a word limit on the extended abstract? Or is it just the total size that's allowed?
There is a limit, and that information is available here on the ISAC website, the call for papers.
Okay.
Yep. So it's a maximum 1,000 words, maximum 10 references, and it provides the formatting information and everything else there. So
good. Okay, because the 250 word limit was on for the short abstract, but not for the long abstract. So I thought I would just bring that up again.
Thank you. Yep. No, that's a great point. Thank you very much. All right. Excellent. So just briefly, and I see people have been asking questions, so thank you. We'll get to those questions in a moment or two. I just want to finish up by just going through the ASHA disclosure forms briefly. As I said, they are up here on the website, the ISAC International website. You'll see I just clicked on that ASHA disclosure forms link right there. It brings me to this page, and this first link, ASHA disclosure forms, it's a PDF. If you click on it, the PDF should load up. What we are recommending everyone to do is don't try, and this is a form fillable PDF, but please do not try and fill it in online because you won't be able to. So what we're asking people to do is to actually download a copy of this PDF file to your local computer, and Different web browsers deal with downloading a little bit differently. As I said, I'm using Firefox, so you click on that download link, and Firefox gives you an opportunity to save the file somewhere, and I'm going to say OK, and it's now downloaded, and there it is, and it's now in my downloads folder, and I can cut and paste it wherever I want it. So download a copy to your local computer. You can fill it out on your computer once you've downloaded it. If you have a way to either through the full version of Adobe or one of those freeware applications, you can then take the completed form from your computer and merge it with your long or extended abstract. If you don't want to do that, you can by all means print it out, fill it in by hand. You can then either scan it and pull that scanned image in as a PDF or into your Word document that you're using to create your long or extended abstract. Or you can even, if you have a smartphone, you can even take a picture of it with your smartphone and pull that image in. So there's lots of different ways of dealing with it. Given the virtual explosion of digital devices, I think probably 90–95% of people will be able to handle one of those options. If you really run into difficulty, again, get in touch with us here, and we'll help troubleshoot for you, or with you, I should say. So I think that is a good run through. It is 20 to 11, and so I'm just going to see. We do have a few questions asked here, Shelley. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the questions, and I'm hoping you'll be more than happy to answer them.
Okay, if I know the answer, I'll be happy to.
And between us, I'm sure we'll get it done. So, as I said, there were a few people who asked questions about PDF version of the slides of tonight's webinar. So, as I mentioned earlier in the webinar tonight, those PDF slides are available on the ISAAC website, and actually, they are right here. So you can get them after the presentation tonight. So one of the questions that someone has asked is related to the ASHA disclosure forms and the long or extended abstract, because we have asked that the long or extended abstract not have any identifying information in it, not contain identifying information, but yet we ask people to also include as part of it the ASHA disclosure forms. So, Shelley, do you have some additional information on that?
So the ASHA forms won't be sent to the reviewers, because the reason not to have the identifying information is so that there's no bias on the part of the reviewer if they happen to know the authors.
Exactly, right. So yes, our plan is once all the papers are submitted, or once all the proposals are submitted, and once the call for papers is closed, then we here in the ISAAC International office will separate out the abstracts themselves from the ASHA disclosure forms. The reviewers will only see the abstract portion of the submission. They will not see the disclosure form. So we're the only ones who see that here in the ISAAC International office. So that's a great question. Thank you very much for asking it. So another person out there, Shelley, has asked, is the extended abstract compulsory? And
yes. Yeah, yes, it is, because the reviewers really can't make a good decision based just on a short abstract. The short abstracts are what are put in the um, I'm for the conference, people attending the conference so they know what's being presented, but the long abstract is really what's used primarily by the reviewers, so it is compulsory. Otherwise, good decisions can't be made about whether to accept a paper or not.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Shelley. We have another question here about the review process, because we've been talking about the review process a bit, or getting information in that is going to be helping make those reviews easier and the scheduling easier. And someone has asked, given that the conference is in Canada, are the reviewers all going to be sourced from Canada, or are reviewers going to be sourced from elsewhere around the world?
Reviewers will be from around the world, and also from a variety of professional backgrounds, so they won't be all the reviewers will not be people in academic settings. They will be including people in clinical settings. And the research committee is going to be involved in recommending a number of reviewers as well as the conference chair. So we're going to source out reviewers from as wide a range of our membership and the AAC world as possible.
Fabulous. Thank you. Thank you, Shelley. So I'm just going to briefly review through the list of questions, because we've had some people asking. Obviously, we've had some repeated questions being asked, or some couple of same questions being asked by more than one person. So I'm just going to go through the list here and just make sure that we've covered off everything, and that will allow anyone out there who may have just thought of something to type something in while we're just confirming that everything has, I think, been answered. And I think, Shelley, we have answered all the questions that have been asked. So, Shelley, I'm going to ask you if there's anything else that you feel should be addressed or noted that we may not have addressed or noted in any of the questions or the discussion so far.
Yeah, I can just say that we certainly have been trying some test submissions to try to weed out any information that might have been left out that is important, or any glitches in the system. So we're hoping it runs as smoothly as possible. But as Franklin has already mentioned, that if you do run into difficulty, that you should please contact Franklin, and so that we can sort out your problems. We don't want anybody to not be successful in submitting a paper.
Fabulous, absolutely. And so I'm going to then, I guess, just round it out by thanking everyone very much for being with us this evening. And I'm going to just mention that, of course, putting on a conference doesn't happen by itself, as I know everyone out there realizes. There's a tremendous amount of effort that goes into it, and a tremendous amount of effort on behalf of a lot of volunteers from around the world. And so we hope to see you all here in Toronto, Canada, in August of 2016. And certainly when you see the co-chairs at the conference, by all means, give them a handshake, a hug, a big vote of thanks, because they're carrying a lot of the effort. So, Shelley, thank you very much for being here this evening. I know it's late for us here in Toronto. It's early for our friends in Australia, and still even reasonably early for our friends out on the west coast of North America. But I don't know about you, it's getting close to my bedtime.
That's right. No problem. Happy to be here.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for being on tonight. And we wish everyone a great night. Thank you, and a great day. Thank you. Take care.